Adults of Reddit 40 and over. What do you wish you had known about aging? I always thought that old people felt old mentally. That's not the case. Mentally, I still feel like I'm 25, 30. It's more like a timeless dad mournfully watching his home fall apart from within. My grandfather-in-law, who passed away in his early 90s, a week or two before he died, broke down crying and said something to the effect of, "I was just 25 years old not too long ago and now suddenly I'm this weak fragile old man." It's really stuck with me. He was a very caring, calm person, but in those last 2 weeks he really struggled mentally. It's also not like something medically obvious happened at the 2-week mark. It's like he mentally started panicking, and then he passed away in his sleep. All the stuff posted in here, but also, protect your hearing. Loud music and working around loud equipment pay a big toll later in life, and as of to date, the best fix they have is hearing aids. I'm not using hearing aids yet, but trying to have a conversation with my dad, who does use them, is frustrating. Sports injuries. That ligament in my knee that was damaged when I was 17 hurts like heck now. If I try to run fast, my knuckles crack and pop from meaningless trainings and games. The toe that I broke kicking a ball 20 years ago looks gnarly now, and I don't like to wear sandals. That it happens to everybody, and efforts to reverse it get more and more difficult the older you get. If I go a month without working out and decide to start up again, it takes me a couple of weeks to feel good enough to begin a routine. Hangovers come at a huge cost, at least a 2-day recovery, and sometimes 3 if I really tie one on. Tattoos look a lot better on you when you're 24 than they do at 48. Styles also change. My Celtic armband looked awesome in the 90s. Today it looks like something from the 90s. It's a real menduck to see your parents become old and frail, and you're never prepared for the first time you walk into a room, and it takes a few minutes for your dad to remember who you are. Soon he won't know who I'm at all. That once you leave a life organized in yearly stages, grade levels and school, years of university broken up by summer hiatuses, that life can become so consistently monotonous that before you know it 7 years has gone by and it feels like you're stuck in Groundhog Day. Make sure you punctuate your adult life with big changes and adventures. Build memories, or before you know it, you're 40 wondering what the duck did I do in my 30s. Build memories, or before you know it, you're 40 wondering what the duck did I do in my 30s. I'm approaching 35 this year and I pretty much had to admit I wasted my youthful years dealing with depression, and then once that was more or less under control, dealing with a parent dying and having to take care of the other one. I never had time to date or travel, so now I'm pretty set on making the next 2 years a bit of a rush. I already have 5 trips planned for the end of this year, and with my career change and new higher income, I'm going to be making the most of my 30s. Of course, that will lead to a major issue of will I be able to settle down and have a family in my 40s, but I'll worry about that when the time comes. Travel, nightclubs, and general fun are the order for now. I figure it's the best way to make new memories I can enjoy later. This probably won't affect the current younger generation because everyone has a camera in their pocket at all times. But I get nostalgic for old places, my old apartments, college campuses, malls, old workplaces, etc. A lot of those places are different now, changed, demoed and replaced, and so on. I wish I had taken photos of stuff like that when I had the chance. In other words, the world changes around you and you can't go back to the way it was, and that sucks. It feels especially bad when you can't even look at old photos of special places to remind you of good times. I'll be 60 this year. What's sad is friends, relatives, and coworkers are starting to die. It's not going to get better moving forward. Bright side, I've caught up on getting fit after being relatively dormant 20 years raising my son. I'm in better shape now since my 20s. Luckily, because retirement allows me the time. It's different sports now, lap swimming a mile every day in the winter, paddle boarding 6 miles a day in the summer, biking too. In my 20s I was a strong skier and ice skater, water skiing, etc. Now learned to avoid high impact sports, but excelled in others and got nicely toned. discovered for older people. There's amazing social life at the Jersey Shore. 4 hours. I can dance around, to live music and chill at happy hours with the locals. Living like I'm 22 again. Fun. Keep exercising. Regular exercise helps mitigate many common problems in middle age. Soreness, throwing your back out, weight gain, rotator cuff problems, etc. Make exercise a priority in your 30s and 40s, and you'll feel a lot better into your middle and advanced years. It doesn't even need to be a lot, 30 minutes 3 times a week, plus some walking, jogging, or light sporadic cardio. You don't even need to go at maximum effort. Exercise and diet. Your body can't effectively repair itself if you're giving it crap to work with. It's like skimping on quality building materials, you're gonna have problems a few years later. Places that are profoundly meaningful to you, where you have years and years of memories from, like your grandparents' houses, your grade school, the house you grew up in. You'll drive by one day and they'll just be completely gone, effaced from the earth, as if they never existed. Some days all you want is to drop in and have a cup of coffee with your grandpa, but he's been dead for 20 years and the people who bought his house, a house that he built by hand from the foundation up, tore it down and replaced it with a McMansion. And they cut down the oak tree in the front yard that you helped plant when you were 8 years old. There's no going back. Change is the only constant. And pain. But pain is mostly just resistance to accepting change. Hope that helps. That some things age like milk, not flossing, tanning, drinking cola daily, even if diet, not exercising, diving heroically for the ball athletically as a younger person as a habit, not using sunblock, don't forget the tops of your ears, smoking, vaping, cigarettes, marijuana. 1. The shit you did to your body when you were 18 gets magnified exponentially as you age. Yeah. That time you tried to lift too much weight and now your back hurts a little, so often debilitating back pain when you are 45. 2. You don't notice yourself aging so much as you notice 50% of the adults looking like they are 16. 3. You don't really get more mature as you get older. You just learn to not express your immaturity most of the time. 4. Spend your youth doing constructive shit, not just partying. By the time you are 45, 2 beers will knock you out, and you won't have the energy to do anything constructive. To quote Indiana Jones, it's not the years, it's the mileage. I believe that most of us have far more control over age-related physical and cognitive decline than we might think. In fact, I feel some of the biggest benefits of youth recovery and elasticity are a double-edged sword, as they can make us complacent. Your body is more forgiving of bad habits when you're younger. Drink to excess and bounce back in the morning. Sleep too little, but solider on. When you lose this debt forgiveness, it's easy to tailspin into increasing bad health. In my mid-30s, I embraced a rigorous and consistent exercise schedule and diet. So far, at 43, I've managed to keep many of the detriments of aging at bay. Were I to face my 21-year-old self in a sprint or a long jump competition, I'd get smoked, but any running distance beyond a mile, and I'm leaving my younger edition in my dust. I have more energy and focus now than when I was in my 20s. I've been sick less and have had fewer injuries. I know Father Time is undefeated, but you don't have to capitulate to him today. I'll close this comment. Unfortunately, age has made me long-winded by adding it's not just physical. You're out of school, but that doesn't mean you should stop learning new things. Never stop challenging yourself. We've all seen young 60-somethings and old 30-year-olds more often than not. It's lifestyle and outlook that make the difference. I'm 37, so not quite 40, but there's this youth spark that has just slowly vanished over the past 5 years or so. I never thought it was there until I began to lose it. There's just something missing, and I wish I could have appreciated it more when I still possessed it. Now it's just all downhill and it's fucking depressing. I'm 34 and have noticed this steep decline in myself over the past 2 years. Things I spent my whole life doing and loving suddenly don't matter as much anymore. I'd rather just lead a simple and lazy life than put effort into things. For instance, video games used to be my main hobby, and now I can no longer muster up enough energy or interest to play for more than 5 minutes. I'd rather just lay in bed and zone out to TV. It's actually pretty depressing, if I'm being honest. My love for music has basically disappeared. That if you aren't careful, that self-portrait you did will age for you. That the explanation others have for my apparent lack of visibly aging. On a more serious note, even as a child, I have always valued my friendships and interactions with seniors, relatives, neighbors, etc. I used to hang out with a group of older guys for coffee and sitcoms every afternoon. It was awesome. Great conversation. And I learned a lot about a lot of stuff. All three died within a month of each other a couple years ago, and I realized soon I'll never have friendships that span that age gap ever again. Because there will be nobody a generation older than me left that in 15 years. I'm going to be the old guy on the bench. And honestly, I don't have the wealth of experience to offer those guys did. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.